Most operating systems trust you. They give you a single environment where everything lives together. Cube's OS takes the opposite approach. It assumes you will make a mistake. It assumes a breach is inevitable. This is its superpower. Most operating systems trust you. They give you a single environment where everything lives together. Cube's OS takes the opposite approach. It assumes you will make a mistake. It assumes a breach is inevitable. This is not a flaw, but a deliberate design choice. When you click a bad link or open a malicious file on a standard system, the attacker gets the keys to the kingdom. They access your passwords, your bank accounts, and your work files because they all share the same memory space. Cubes flips this model entirely. It treats every action as potentially hostile. Instead of trying to build an impenetrable wall, it accepts the wall will break. The goal is to limit the damage when that happens. This mindset shift is crucial for anyone handling sensitive information. You stop trying to prevent the impossible and start managing the inevitable. You prepare for the worst-case scenario. The mechanism behind Cubes is compartmentalization through virtualization. It does not run one big trusting system. It creates isolated compartments called cubes. Each cube is a separate virtual machine running on the Zen hypervisor. They live on your desktop with colored window borders, so you always know where you are. Yellow might be personal. Blue is work. Red is untrusted. You can have one for Tor traffic and another for an offline vault. You do not install applications on the host machine. You install them inside specific cubes. A browser in your personal cube has no access to your work files. The host system manages the display and input, but cannot access the data inside the virtual machines. This architecture means an attacker who compromises your web browser only compromises that single compartment. They cannot jump to another cube without breaking the hypervisor itself, which is a much harder task to accomplish. Isolation in cubes goes beyond just separating files. Network access is granted per cube. If a compartment does not need internet to function, it gets none. Your offline vault cube holds sensitive documents like contracts or non-disclosure agreements. No network means no remote exfiltration. Then there are disposable cubes. This is one of the most powerful tools in the system. When you download a PDF or receive an attachment, you open it in a disposable cube. This is a temporary virtual machine that exists only for the duration of the task. When you close the window, the entire cube vanishes. Any malicious code executed by that file dies instantly. It cannot persist on your machine. This makes opening untrusted files nearly zero risk. You isolate the blast radius at the cube level. The malware runs, but it runs in a burning room that disappears completely without a trace. Consider the professionals who need this level of security. Freelancers, founders, and researchers often handle valuable data. If you're working in Morocco, you might manage client data, run multiple projects, and visit various websites for research. One phishing email could cost you months of work. A compromised client database destroys trust and revenue. Cubes changes the stakes. If you accidentally click a malicious link in your research cube, the attacker gets stuck in that red window. Your client files in the blue cube remain safe. Your banking details in the vault remain untouched. This separation by risk level is not just a technical feature. It is a business continuity strategy. You are building a digital environment where a single mistake does not cascade into a catastrophic failure. The setup requires effort, but it protects the core assets of your livelihood from total ruin. The learning curve with cubes is real. People often make the same mistakes when they first adopt it. The first mistake is treating it like a normal operating system. You cannot just download random software from the internet and install it globally. You must think about which cube each application belongs to. A messaging app might go in personal, while a code editor goes in work. The second mistake is ignoring disposable cubes. Users sometimes open risky files in their persistent compartments out of convenience. This defeats the entire purpose of the system. Disposables are the easiest way to handle untrusted data with zero risk. The third mistake is neglecting the offline vault. People leave sensitive documents in connected compartments. If you have contracts or personal identifiers, They must live in a cube with no network access. Overcoming these habits takes discipline and a completely new approach to everyday computing habits. What does this mean for the broader technology space? Cubes OS is not for everyone. If you're casually browsing the web, it is overkill. But for builders, investors, and anyone handling digital assets, it represents a shift in how we think about trust. The second-order effect is a move away from monolithic security toward resilience. We stop assuming the perimeter will hold. Instead, we design systems that fail safely. As attacks become more sophisticated and targeted, compartmentalization will become a standard requirement, not a niche preference. The next thing to watch is how mainstream operating systems adopt these concepts. We may see more lightweight virtualization built into standard desktops. Until then, Cubes remains the most rigorous implementation of this philosophy. It forces you to confront your own digital habits. It asks if you trust one device with everything or if you are ready to build accordingly. Watch how mainstream operating systems integrate virtualization next. The future of security is not just building higher walls. It is designing rooms that contain the fire. Consider where your most valuable data lives right now.